Please put your hands together because it's time for the next session. Welcome everyone to the stage.
This is so insane.
That was one of the most amazing things I've ever experienced.
Bruh, how many levels are there?
It's gonna be so cool! I'm like, I wanna try it.
Arcadia is basically the world's first stadium-sized mixed reality arena, where athletes get to replace avatars in these large-scale games where they're free to run around and compete against each other in these super sports that only we've built. We're getting ready to broadcast these games to global audiences, and it's going to be a spectacle unlike anything you've seen before. It's basically Tron for real.
We wanted to break the conventions of VR. We wanted to strip the walls away, strip away the cords and cables, and let people run free.
We also wanted to make it multiplayer.
Our proprietary Samos Arena perfectly syncs up athletes with one another and with the physical world, so you can confidently play in a shared space with other people. Our Samos Arena is the largest mixed reality play space in the world.
Our athletes can run, jump, dodge each other, and even tackle each other if they want to. You don't have to use joysticks to move around, you just use your body, because that's the most natural and best controller you could ever use in your life. We also built our own proprietary camera system that allows you, the audience, to see exactly what they're playing in the game. We've been building this in secret for the past 3 years. These games take inspiration from classic arcades and the modern sports that we love today. They're simple to understand, but they're incredibly hard to master.
What's up, LeBron?
I need to assemble an elite team to help give my son back.
I know what you're looking for. A dream team.
Bro, I'm sweating.
This is going to be a very fun panel. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to sponsoring the Metaverse here at Advertising Week 2021. Thank you for everyone here joining us in person and everyone joining us around the world as well. I'm your moderator, Master Sfatien, co-founder of Masterpiece Productions and host of Untold Stories at Bleacher Report, and I'm here joined by Chris Olimpo, co-founder and CEO of Arcadia TV. He is the driving force behind the brand strategy and vision for Arcadia, as well as a lead on all things creative, including game design and marketing strategy. Chris is also an award-winning VR, AR director with 10+ years experience in the tech and entertainment industry, having directed top-flight VR projects, such as Tom Cruise's first VR film, The Mummy, Zero G. Prior to building Arcadia, Chris led the Sonder marketing and brand team as a creative director, growing the company from 10 employees to 112 in 6 months and expanding the company's global footprint from 8 to 35 cities. Please welcome Chris Olimpo, everyone.
Thanks a lot, Master.
I'm excited about this conversation because I think we've seen through the global pandemic and over the last 2 years how the disruptions going on in the digital space, everything's going to have some level of digital foundation. And it seems like what you're trying to do is solving an intersection for sports, esports, and also fitness. So what is Arcadia TV?
So Arcadia is essentially the world's first stadium-size virtual reality arena where athletic gamers get to run around and play free in these games that you're used to playing in with controllers. And from our point of view, in my opinion, it's absolutely the future of sports and gaming. It's the next level of everything that audiences have been dreaming about for a long time. If you think about movies like Tron or Ready Player One, our company is basically here to say that these aren't figments of imagination. This isn't going to happen 100 years in the future. This is going to happen today. And we're not waiting for people to give us permission to build it. We're just building it right now and starting to host these games.
Now, where did this idea come from for you? And what was the source of inspiration for you to step into this space?
Well, movies like Ready Player One and Tron, obviously.
Which ones do you like better?
I like Tron better,
Likewise.
personally. Yeah. To be honest, like my whole life has been geared around the future of technology and creativity. You know, I went to art school. I was always fascinated with Walt Disney and like what he did with his company and his career. I think it affected a lot of change in culture and all that stuff. So my mind has always been geared in that direction, but I've also been a huge gamer, always fascinated with like what Miyamoto did with Mario and Nintendo and all that stuff. So as I started working in the VR industry, I loved everything that was going on during that hype cycle, but I wasn't really buying into the whole thing. I wasn't really drinking the Kool-Aid that, hey, because there's this cool tech, all of a sudden it's gonna be this like massive like industry that everyone's gonna love. I feel like there were some issues, and namely that it was hard to build a community around this VR experience. There wasn't an audience experience built in. People were very curious about what other people were seeing, like, hey, what do you see in there? What are you doing? And that was like funny for maybe 2 years, but it was lacking. And I guess the source of true inspiration was a real frustration with the limitations of the technology. When you're playing virtual reality, if any of you guys have tried it, often you're confined to a small space. You need to use a joystick. People complain about nausea and all this stuff. And my background was also as a user experience designer, so I started really paying attention to all these things and realizing like, okay, well, we need to remove these joysticks. We need to be able to run around in a large space. We need to remove cables. And we need an audience experience. We need a way for people at home on their televisions or on YouTube or on anything to be able to watch and enjoy these games that these gamers are playing. And that's where sports sort of came in. It's like, hey, you know, you have a limited number of professional athletes playing these incredible games. How do we take that to the next level? And that was sort of the beginning of thinking about solving these big problems and creating Arcadia.
When you look at the process of finding solutions, as you talked about, having athletes competing in this, the opportunity to have a league within Arcadia TV, solving obviously the sports component of it, but also the esports and gaming component of this. What was the development cycle like in establishing Arcadia TV?
Interesting. Like we've been building this in secret for like 3 years.
Wow.
Prior to launching, and it was pretty special to get to, you know, announce our company to the world alongside Warner Brothers. And the way that kind of happened was actually, I'm going to get to your question in a second, but I feel like I just like name dropped something. But when we let a few executives at WB know what we were up to, they basically said, there's a lot in common with what you're doing and this Space Jam script. I think we should talk. Originally, the original Space Jam, Michael Jordan just like gets sucked into a golf ball, but in the new film, they get sucked into a computer server. And they play sports that are that essentially combine gaming with sports into this thing. We're like, okay, this is great. But prior to that, which is why it's connected to the development cycle, it just started with a vision and a dream, and a lack of funding. And so I went around San Francisco and a lot of places, you know, pitched this idea about 3.5 years ago, spoke about how I believe fitness was going to be one of the biggest categories in virtual reality. And a lot of people laughed, and they're like, that's dumb. No one's gonna wanna sweat in that headset, this is stupid. But through my observations, I've noticed that when people were having the most fun in virtual reality, they were sweating, because it's an active medium. And eventually managed to raise a humble angel round, and with that money, hired an incredible team of engineers, which includes Guillaume Cote, my co-founder. And you know, I sort of pitched him on the idea. I was like, hey, what if we sort of figured out this thing where we can somehow calibrate the headsets this way to create this large-scale arena? And he's like, oh yeah, maybe that's gonna be really hard. I'm like, yeah, by the way, also we're gonna have to build a camera system on top of that doesn't use a green screen, that allows us to have mixed reality capture. And he was like, okay, well, that's really fucking hard. And, and we just kept going. And we just kept going like back and forth, making a lot of mistakes, learning really fast, you know, and bit by bit through iteration, making it what it is today. But the funny secret is that a lot of the footage that you guys are seeing are things that we were doing 3 years ago. We just weren't telling anyone because we wanted to sort of perfect it and simplify it so that we can actually launch properly.
Now, what was the feedback you were getting from spectators and everyone internally in that process of 3 years that helped develop it to the space that it's in?
It was
now?
insane. Like, it's absolutely insane. Like most people watch the video. So on the investor side, a lot of them would watch it and be like, okay, this is fake. Like, it's an amazing concept. What an amazing vision. You know, when are you going to build it? And we're like, no, it's like real footage. And but when we would bring it to the actual players in our city, we brought it to a college. You know, within 2 days, we put some posters up saying like VR sports coming to Dawson College.
College kids.
Yeah, and within 2 days, we had over 1,000 signups, and we selected 12 out of those 1,000 to be a part of our alpha team, which we felt was like a funny hybrid between gaming and sports. And when they played the games, their minds were just blown. You know, they were just like, holy shit! Like they're running at full speed. They're able to tackle each other and do whatever they want within that space. And we sort of changed the culture around gaming and VR, because most of the time when you go to a VR arcade, people would say, hey, don't run, be calm. People were often worried, like, what if I break the headset? And we sort of told them, like, hey, like, sports are sports, you know? Like, athletes break their hockey sticks. I'm Canadian. You know, some of the most legendary people, like even Jimi Hendrix, like, he'd smash his guitar. Like, who cares? Like, if you're really happy about your win, smash the headset. It's fine. We'll buy another one. And they sort of started clicking, like, okay, like I can actually like go for it. And people who were a little more out of shape thought it was like an amazing opportunity for them to like get in shape, because they don't really feel welcomed in traditional sports. They do feel welcomed in gaming, but they also feel sometimes that gaming can be addictive. I love gaming, but at the same time, like anything else, has to be in moderation.
Absolutely.
So then they would come back over and over again at the school to like play Arcadia and try and get the high score and develop strategies with each other. And in the middle of that, you know, COVID also happened. And that was one of the most inspiring moments, because we were a little afraid of the whole situation, because we didn't really have, like, how are we going to bring people together now? The whole point of this tech, from our point of view, is instead of people playing online from home, they're coming together at one space and creating this new category of sports and gaming. But during the pandemic, they were like, yo, we need to play, where can we play? So that's where we started hosting games outside and actually improving our tech so that it could work outside, because it has issues with the sun, which we resolved. And yeah, so the feedback has been really positive, really like amazing, actually.
And we've seen, as a result of COVID, a lot more brands leaning in in the gaming, esports space. As the technology continues to advance, how can these brands further leverage into this world of sports, e-gaming, esports, to further maximize their partnerships?
Yeah, so, you know, with these brands, I think they've been doing a great job in some areas. There's certain companies that are hosting like concerts, and there's a lot of stuff that they're doing already with Fortnite. If you look at, you know, what Marvel's doing, Travis Scott did some cool stuff.
Great concert, yeah.
Super cool
it was really
concert,
cool, really
right?
Cool experience.
From our point of view, you know, it's a great opportunity for brands to connect with younger audiences, being a part of things like this. Like what we're building with Arcadia, we're on the ground floor of a category that I believe is going to dominate the market of sports, you know, 30 years from now or 50 years from now, whatever that might be. But I think any brand that's looking to connect with younger audiences or wants to connect with the values of innovation, gaming, and athletics, this is the type of space that they should be in. And it's as simple as reaching out to, you know, the company or the founders, whatever, and then you find a way to make that partnership work. That's how it happened with WB. They were just like, this is nuts. And the sort of pitch was, it's almost like they were pitching us and we were pitching them at the same time, at how perfectly the stars aligned here. Because they had been working on the movie for 3 years, we had been working on the tech for 3 years, and the way it kind of happened was, while they're working on this work of fiction, we were there to tell them, actually, it's not fiction, it's reality, and we can make history here. You know, like, this movie is really cool, and it's as simple as reaching out and building that sort of deal between the two companies.
So say I'm a brand, okay?
Yeah.
I'm trying to enter this meta space world, okay? The metaverse space, excuse me. If I'm trying to enter this space, what should I know before approaching it?
What should you know? That's a great question. What you should know before approaching it is that, this is based on my opinion, but I believe the metaverse is an inevitable future. It's where technology is going. People are getting tired of looking at 2D screens on their phones and, you know, tuning in via their computers. If you look at how much funding Mark Zuckerberg is putting towards his metaverse project, it's pretty massive. He's also publicly said that it's absolutely his main focus away from social media and other stuff, which is why maybe those areas are crumbling down. But so he's absolutely focused on that. Secretly, Apple has been hiring a ton of people in the metaverse space, both AR, VR stuff. I wonder if everyone knows what the metaverse is as well, but essentially the metaverse is a digital layer on top of the physical world that people will be able to enter into via augmented reality glasses or something like that. And eventually, one day, you'll put on some lightweight AR, VR hybrid glasses, which is what I believe Apple is producing right now. And when you go outside, you'll be able to see all of these holograms and all these things. And what I sort of picture the future being, the question was actually how do they get into, what they should know about the metaverse to get into it. So they should have an understanding that the people that understand the metaverse really care about the future, they're forward thinking, and their brands should be aligned with that sort of innovation, and they should pick a lane or product or thing that they want to promote within that space, knowing that these audiences are usually smart and sharp, and they're going to want to know that they're going to be a part of that future as well. They don't just want to be sold like random products or things.
So as a brand, how can Arcadia help take that to the next level in these different partnerships? You talk about Warner with WB. What opportunities can exist with Arcadia to help take that to the next level?
So the biggest one is, so prior to founding Arcadia, I was a creative director at an agency, and we used to do these awesome activations. We did things at South by Southwest and at 30 Rockefeller Center, and it was like super cool, but it was only seen by a limited audience. And that was one of the reasons why we did Arcadia as well. Like that random plug that you spoke about where like I directed Tom Cruise's first VR film, super cool thing to say, nobody here saw it. I'm pretty sure, I can bet a lot of money no one here saw that piece. It's really cool. Premiered at South by Southwest, toured around the world, was at 30 Rockefeller Center, 400 people a day went and watched it. Good numbers for VR, terrible numbers when you compare it to anything else. And the difference here is that what we're producing is amazing content in the metaverse that doesn't exclude the other ways to actually interact with this stuff. Every time we create something in the metaverse, it also plugs into social media, YouTube, and Twitch, and all these other spaces. So we're about to host some amazing games unlike anything anyone has seen before, but it's not going to be limited to the VR geeks like myself. It's going to be open to the mass market. So for young, aspiring athletes or young aspiring gamers, when they're going to watch Arcadia pro athletes play games on Twitch live, these sponsors' brands could be in our virtual stadium, which is similar to like traditional like sports and stuff like that, but also from the player point of view, they're also getting this content in a totally new way. So as the market starts expanding, we're sort of adapting to what consumers are used to today, while sort of placing the building blocks towards that future. So the brands that should essentially work with a metaverse company like ours, they should want to be on the ground floor of something like this so they can help shape and define and ensure that they're getting the actual value for their money.
Huge opportunity here with massive reach and audience for live viewership, like you talk about with Twitch and YouTube, but also, as you talked about within the arenas, I have a lot of experience in covering games, in-house advertising around the arena, all the stadiums, presenting partnership opportunities here that exist that can reach a younger demographic that can further enhance your brand and push it further for a millennial Gen Z audience.
Yes.
You talked earlier about the glasses, and you think Apple's developing glasses. We've seen Google attempt to do that probably a decade ago with Google Glass. Yeah. Where is this VR, AR world? Where are we going with this now?
This is just my opinion, but Google Glass was like an interesting experiment, but I don't know, it was pretty lame in my opinion, to be completely honest. I think, if you want to predict the future, you got to study history and just focus on humanity. Like, some things don't change. Like, human behavior doesn't always change. People want things, people need things, and as technology evolves, those needs and wants don't totally change. What changes is technology and also the developers and creators of that tech. And often, most companies make the mistake of building technology for technology's sake, or making things that are limited by the tech. But the best companies build things from the point of view of the human and what they need. And there's been a lot of talk, there's usually a dividing line between augmented reality and virtual reality, and people debate that like AR is going to be better and VR is this. But the truth is that I believe the future is just going to be both. There isn't going to be this divide between the two, and that's why people are starting to talk about the metaverse. So I think the future...
Why do you think both are going to exist? Because like you said, there are people who are investing heavily into the AR space.
Yes.
But other people, like yourself, who understand the VR component of these things and obviously the technology that's needed, the hardware that's needed to execute that. Why do you think both of them will collide together and work and coexist in this kind of space?
The simple answer is that any augmented reality device that we've seen today usually uses glass, and it's projected onto glass, which means that everything you see is transparent. So by default, it's never going to give you a true-to-life immersion. Whereas in VR, my best AR experiences have been in a VR headset. And because it's fully opaque, like every pixel is clear. And what I think is most likely to happen is we will have a pair of glasses with pass-through cameras that allow you to see reality in real time, low latency, like feedback, and it will be able to augment the view with like very nice graphics within there. The other reason being, it's very hard to have a large field of view in augmented reality, which means that you can see we have great peripheral vision. In VR, it's much better, and it's the rate of improvement is going much faster than any other piece of technology that I've seen. So I think it's likely that we're going to have a hybrid AR VR headset, and as the tech becomes more lightweight and more ubiquitous, I kind of see a future where when you go to parks and you see a basketball court or a soccer field or whatever it might be, well, there might be an Arcadia field as well, or there might be like something like that, some sort of metaverse field, and kids are going to go there, put on a headset, and it's just going to calibrate right away, and now they're going to play these incredible virtual games with their friends, like right at the park, right then and there.
So, I mean, we see Web3, we see enterprise blockchain, we see all these infrastructures for this digital world kind of being pieced together in the effort for globalization. Where do you see the metaverse 5-10 years from now, towards the end of this decade? Where do you see the metaverse going?
I think the metaverse is kind of an unstoppable force. I sometimes see it going in the wrong direction. You can already see the metaverse happening right now. People using face filters on social media and stuff. They're already like changing and like doing all this random stuff. That to me is the wrong direction.
Why do you feel that?
Well, because I feel like people should be comfortable in their own skin. And I think that further moves towards insecurities and all that. I think you can do some fun stuff, but there should be like a limit.
Because you really do prioritize healthy behaviors within the metaverse, don't you?
Yeah. Well, actually, Arcadia is about respecting reality, ironically. Even though we're a VR company, we're actually here to create games that make people realize, we don't actually talk about this too much, but it's because it's usually intuitive. People who want to become great at our games, they eventually realize, okay, well, I need to maybe think about my health. I need to sleep right the night before a game. I need to eat right. What's my pre-game drink, or what am I doing? And I need to work out a bit. But it's this balance where I believe with technology right now, we're just tipping so far into our avatars, forgetting about ourselves. And Arcadia is kind of here to be like, hey, your avatar is cool, and he or she is fine. You know what I mean? But are you? And if you play these games, you end up thinking about both. I want to upgrade my avatar, but I also want to upgrade myself. And when I look at the metaverse, when I look at the future of the metaverse right now, I don't think it's going in the best direction. When I think about it being led by people like Zuck and stuff like that, I don't know what's going to happen to that. If you look at how Facebook played out and how other social media platforms played out, is that really the future we want, projected everywhere? Or does it need to be a little different? And Arcadia is kind of one of the companies here trying to give that push and trying to inspire culture and society to be like, hey, it doesn't need to be the way we built it. So I'm hopeful. I hope that people love, the things that we're doing, and I hope that inspires other developers and other companies to build games and experiences that actually augment people's lives. And it's possible, but it's going to require the work and effort of a lot of smart, thoughtful people that care about more than just profit, and that care about, each other. So, yeah, I think it could be a wild and exciting and awesome future where the works of fiction that we've been used to watching on the silver screen or interacting with our computers or with our gaming consoles now become a part of our reality, now become a part of our memories, I just picture a future where maybe I have kids and I'm telling them, why don't you go outside and play video games already, why are you staying at home all the time? Or maybe, my grandkids one day will have memories like, remember when we defeated that warlock or that dragon? And it's like, they weren't doing this. They were legitimately like scaling that dragon and doing all this cool stuff. I think it's going to be, the future is going to be a fantasy, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
And it's great that you're in this space and someone who cares deeply about people and cares about healthy behaviors within the metaverse. It's great to have you in this world, in this space. How can people find more information about yourself and Arcadia TV?
Sure. Well, you can check us out at arcadia.tv. You can follow us on social media as well at arcadia.tv. My email is chris@arcadia.tv. Pretty simple. You can also feel free to just reach out and talk to me. I'm easy to talk to, and it's that simple.
Go check it out, Arcadia TV. Chris Olimpo, everyone. Thank you for joining us here on Sponsoring the Metaverse. I'm Masters 510. Y'all have a great week, all right?
Thanks, Master.